Not a ceasefire. And that's one of the points that we're working on right now. No, not a ceasefire. President Putin was very generous in his feeling toward Ukraine succeeding, including supplying energy, electricity, and other things at very low prices.
There will be no ceasefire in the Ukraine war, but don't worry, progress is still being made. Because in the latest version of diplomacy, Russia might help Ukraine by providing electricity and oil at cheaper prices. Yes, the war continues, but with a discount. Welcome to modern geopolitics. Sounds confusing? Good, because that's exactly what today's story is about. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has met privately with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago to talk about ending the war. And by ending the war, it turns out we may not mean stopping the fighting, just making energy bills a little easier to pay. Stay till the end, because this somehow gets even stranger. Today's story doesn't begin in Kiev or Moscow. It begins in Florida at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, a place better known for golf and chandeliers than peace negotiations. The meeting comes at a serious moment. The war is still raging. Ukraine is under pressure. Russia is still attacking. And the world keeps asking the same question: what's the plan? Trump has repeatedly claimed he could bring the war to an end quickly. Zelensky, meanwhile, is trying to keep his country supported, powered, and standing. So they met not in a war room, not at the United Nations, but at a luxury resort. Already, that tells you a lot. Here's the key point. There is no ceasefire on the table. No official peace agreement. No announcement that the fighting will stop. Instead, what's being discussed are what diplomats love to call practical solutions. And one of those ideas floating around is this: Russia could supply Ukraine with electricity or oil at cheaper prices. So to summarize, the war continues. Missiles still fly. But the lights might stay on. It's like your neighbor setting your house on fire, then offering you a discount on the fire extinguisher. Now, to be clear, this isn't a signed deal. It's not an official plan. It's more like the kind of idea that appears when everyone in the room is exhausted and desperate to show progress. Because saying no ceasefire sounds bad, but saying energy cooperation sounds responsible. It's not peace. It's rebranding. No end to war, just fewer blackouts. No victory, just better utility rates. Trump reportedly described the meeting as productive and in Trump language. That could mean anything from historic breakthrough to everyone was very polite and the coffee was great. His approach appears less about traditional diplomacy and more about deal, making logic you don't have to like each other. You just have to trade Zelensky. However, has been clear about his red lines. Ukraine will not give up territory. Ukraine will not surrender its sovereignty. And Ukraine will not call this peace unless Ukrainians agree that it actually is. Cheap oil is nice. Independence is nicer. The world is watching closely. Europape is watching. Russia is watching. Markets are watching. And honestly, comedians are watching very closely too. Because if this becomes the future of conflict resolution, it's going to be a strange one. No ceasefire, no handshake. Just ongoing war with a loyalty discount program. So here's the bottom line. The Trump-Zelensky meeting was real. The war is still very real. Peace is not happening yet. And while the idea of Russia helping Ukraine with cheap electricity sounds almost funny, the situation itself is deadly serious. This meeting didn't end the war. It didn't stop the fighting. But it did remind the world that modern diplomacy often sounds like satire until you realize it's actually happening. Now, I want to hear from you. Is this smart diplomacy or just political comedy with serious consequences? If you found this breakdown useful or at least entertaining, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel for more news explained clearly, honestly, and sometimes with a little dark humor, because if we don't laugh a little, geopolitics makes even less sense.